This week on I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews, I'll be reviewing the Netflix comedy You People and also the 1994 sports comedy D2 The Mighty Ducks. All this and more on I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews. Don't forget to support the show on Patreon. That's Patreon I Watched This as an Adult, where you get access to special content. Your support means a lot. Thank you.
What is the perfect movie franchise? Does such a thing truly exist? The License to Watch podcast sets out to answer that age-old question. Join comedians Matt McGregor, Harris McCabe, and Colin Shaw as they dissect your favorite film franchises one movie at a time. Along for the ride is a different film industry guest for every episode. Listen as the boys play judge, jury, and executioner and decide which of your favorite movie franchises are worthy of a license to watch.
It is so nice to meet you guys. What's going on? Tell me about life. How are you? How's work?
So you want to marry my daughter?
Yes, I do.
So do you hang out in the hood all the time, or do you just come up here for our food and women?
It's a valid question.
It is.
What's the difference between me and you?
If Amir and I had a baby, it would be a very nice baby. Mixed race people are really awesome. You know, you have like Mariah and Derek Jeter, and then of course you have the GOAT.
The GOAT?
The greatest of all time.
Yeah, I know what it means, but who are you referring to?
Our guy, the legend, Malcolm X.
What in the mother...
What's the difference between me and you?
And she's not pregnant because we don't even do that much stuff. She's not a prude. She knows her way around it, and that's
Okay.
that, and I respect it. And then what I'm saying is I love your daughter, and I would make a good husband.
Ain't this about a bitch?
Where's our waiter? I am starving.
What's the difference between me and you? You talk a good one, but you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Hello and welcome to I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews. I'm your host, Mikkel Ford. As you heard from the trailer, I am going to talk about the Netflix comedy movie that recently came out called You People, starring Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. Let's get into the movie. This movie was written and directed by Kenya Barris, and you can tell because his trademark bouncy humor is all over this movie from the beginning. Even at the beginning, like bouncy humor. Like I said, this movie stars Jonah Hill and Lauren London as star-crossed interracial lovers who are trying to navigate the differences between their families. Jonah's Jewish upbringing by his parents, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and David Duchovny, and Lauren's Muslim upbringing by her parents, played by Eddie Murphy and Nia Long. This movie falls flat for me for the most part. And the main problem for me is the trademark Kenya Barris bouncy humor, which that works fine on a 30-minute sitcom like Blackish. But it falls flat here because this movie doesn't give jokes enough time to breathe. It's say joke, then follow it up with another joke before you're able to process the first joke. It's like this movie doesn't give you, like, this movie is 2 hours, by the way. This movie is 2 hours, and it doesn't give you enough time to process all the jokes. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna say something funny, and then you gonna say something funny, and then I'm gonna say something funny again, and then we gonna say something funny, and then we gonna say something funny, funny, and it doesn't give the movie enough time to breathe. You don't get to process the jokes. You don't get to process the story. I think that's where this movie falls flat. Thank God for Eddie Murphy. Thank God for Eddie Murphy, because he is the MVP of this movie. Like, every time he's on screen, he makes the movie better. And like, he does his own thing. It's almost like he didn't read the script and he just ad-libbed everything. Like, which in this case is okay, because he makes it funny. Like I said, like, Eddie Murphy's a true comedy pro. He has space in between his jokes. He's not just like, because Jonah Hill is the main he's the main suspect. You might say he's the main suspect of this. And like, it's just joke after joke after joke after joke after joke after joke. It's just like, oh, this is not funny, I'm gonna say something else. He's like a dude at open mic that's not funny. Like, I'm just gonna keep saying jokes until y'all laugh. And it's like, I ain't laughing. This shit ain't funny, yo. You know, but Eddie Murphy, true comedy pro. Like, he tells a joke, lets you sit in that joke. The other people talk, you know, and he says another joke, you know, lets it sit, lets it marinate for a little bit. Like, he's not rushing his comedy. And like, that's the mark of a true comedy master. You know, like, a lot of people forgot that Eddie Murphy is a true pro at this shit, because he hadn't done like stand-up comedy in like 35 years, and he hasn't been in a lot of funny comedy movies, but in the past, like, 20 years, but you know, but he's a true pro at this shit. Like, he's showing you guys. I think what happened with him was, like, he got burned out. It was like, when you've been working for 25 years straight, you know, you get burnt out. You know, he's been on top since like 1982. You know, like, if you're working from 1982, he took a sabbatical. I think the last thing he did was, I'm trying to remember when he came back, because like, he's been gone for a while. I want to say he was gone for a good 10 years. I want to say, like, we hadn't seen Eddie Murphy in 10 years, because he explained it. He said, like, he was sitting in his house, you know. He explained, he was like, I was just sitting in my house, like, watching TV all day for 10 years. So I think that's what he explained when he had that. He was doing that interview with Jerry Seinfeld, where Jerry Seinfeld was interviewing him for comedians getting coffee in cars, or whatever the fuck that show is called. But yeah, man, he was gone for a while. And I think that him taking that long sabbatical re-energized him. Like, he's good again. Like, he's fucking hilarious in this movie. He is the best part of this movie. Yeah, but yeah, like I say, he is the best part of this movie. There's also a lot of feet in this movie. That's what I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of feet in this movie that I noticed. Like, for a second, I thought I was watching a Quentin Tarantino movie. This is probably his favorite movie of the year so far, because it's got like everything he likes. It's got the main three things he likes: black girls, feet, and N-word. You know, like, he loves the N-word. We know that, and he loves feet. You know, like, and he loves black women. Like, this has got to be his favorite movie of all. This has got to be his favorite movie of all time. Now, he was like, everything else pales in comparison to you people. It's a masterpiece. Jonah Hill and Lauren London have no chemistry whatsoever in this movie. Like, they have no chemistry. Like, Jonah Hill is trying to force the chemistry, but it's not working. Like, he's trying to be a professional actor and trying to force the chemistry and trying to give something for Lauren London to play off of. But she ain't having it. Like, she ain't feeling it, you know? And if you don't know Lauren London's dating history in real life, like, she liked them thugs. Like, she liked thugs. She was in a relationship with Lil Wayne, and she was also the Nipsey Hussle's fiance before he passed away. You know, so she wasn't even trying with Jonah. Like, she wasn't feeling Jonah at all. And it shows in the performance. It shows in the performance that she wasn't losing herself in the role, is what I'm saying. And I think she hasn't acted in a while, but she wasn't losing herself. She wasn't losing herself in this role. And you could tell, like, she was just looking at Jonah Hill, and she was just like, nah. You know, like, she was trying to give something, but it just wasn't showing. She was just like, nah, me and Jonah Hill, hell nah. She was like, and you could see it on screen. You can see it on screen that she was not feeling Jonah Hill. And I don't even think they kissed in this movie. I might have missed something, but I don't think they kissed not once in this movie. It's supposed to be a romantic comedy, and they didn't kiss not once. They didn't kiss. They didn't get intimate with each other, because the movie's rated R. They didn't get intimate with each other. They wasn't like, you know, like, there was no intimacy between the two of them. And it was just like that's how much she was not feeling Jonah Hill. You know what? Oh God. But yeah, man, this movie's kind of weak. There's not much else to say about it. You know, it's a run-of-the-mill romantic comedy that's trying to be edgy. It's trying its best to be edgy, but it's just, yeah. You know, it's real mid. It's real dull. Eddie Murphy, like I said, Eddie Murphy is the saving grace of this movie. The couple minutes that Mike Epps is in here, he's the saving grace of this movie. Mike Epps is hilarious for like the 3 minutes he's in the movie. But other than that, like, you can skip this movie. Like, I give it a 2 out of 5. I give it a 2 out of 5. I will be back with my review of D2, The Mighty Ducks, right after these messages.
From Walt Disney Pictures, Coach Gordon Bombay
Nice haircut. Did you lose a bet?
is back with the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, no! Haven't you guys been training in the off-season? I knew we forgot something.
Now he's trying to do the impossible
Only you could teach them to fly.
and turn them into world champions.
You think hockey's just a bunch of guys trying to knock a puck into a net with a stick, isn't it? I say so.
Emilio Estevez, D2, The Mighty Ducks are back. Rated PG. Starts Friday, March 25th.
And welcome back to the show. D2, The Mighty Ducks from 1994. Let's get to the technical, shall we? This movie was directed by Sam Wiseman and written by Stephen Brill. The box office for this movie was $45.6 million. And it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 21%. Now let's get into how I saw this movie as a kid. I saw this movie on the Disney Channel. I remember seeing this movie on the Disney Channel. This is back when the Disney Channel was still a premium channel. At one point, you had to pay for the Disney Channel. At one point, I believe it stopped being a paid service in like 1997. I want to say around like 96, 97. I want to say it stopped being a paid service, which is around the time that like it started like they started like catering towards preteens. Because like before that, they would show things like Fleetwood Mac concerts and shows like Avalon. Even though I don't know what Avalon is, like Avalon was like the Downton Abbey of the early 90s. It was like the Bridgerton of the early 90s. You know, like that was Avalon. Sometimes that show feels like a fever dream. I'm trying to remember if it even existed. I remember it. I was a goddamn toddler, you know, like when I would see the commercials for it. So like I kind of remember it and kind of don't. I was like, 4 or 5 years old when I started seeing those commercials. I was very young. I was preschool age. Let's just say I was preschool age when that show was on. And so like my little preschool brain, I'm trying to go back to my little preschool brain to even recognize if that show even really existed. But I remember it kind of vaguely, and that's what I kind of remember about it. I look at shows like Bridgerton and Downton Abbey, and I'm like, that's what that was. But anyway, we're not talking about Avalon. We're talking about the Mighty Ducks. But I remember seeing D2 and thinking this is better than the first one. I remember saying that. But let's see how I feel about this movie as an adult. This movie kind of starts off like the first one. We get flashbacks of Gordon Bombay's life in hockey. Apparently, after the first movie, he starts playing minor league hockey, but he has to quit because he gets a career-ending knee injury. So Gordon goes back home to Minnesota to pick up the pieces of his life. We get a couple of character changes in this movie, like Hans does not return for the sequel. Instead, we get his brother John. You're like Hans and John, you know. Yeah. So like they give a quick explanation why Hans isn't there. John is like, oh, he went back to the old country. He went to see Armada or something like that, you know. Oh shit. Joshua Jackson is back as Charlie, the main kid that Gordon had a bond with, mainly because he was smashing his mom in the first movie, which his mom is not in this movie, by the way. Like they explain away that she got remarried and her and Gordon broke up, but like he's still cool with Charlie. So like that's that. So this business guy comes up to Gordon and offers him a proposal to coach Team USA for the Junior Goodwill Games. So Gordon accepts the proposal and he just starts rounding up the Mighty Ducks. Getting the Ducks back together is a fun scene. I love that scene because it's been 2 years since we've seen them. So it's like fun to see these characters assemble again. A good amount of them don't come back. But they brought back like the most important ones. So you don't even notice that the other ones are gone, and they get replaced with new kids. So you're like it's like they kind of fix a lot of the mistakes in the first one, especially with the kids. Like they bring back the kids with personality, and they bring in new kids with personality. And this movie like focuses more on the kids more than the first movie did. The first movie was more about Gordon, and like the kids were in the background because like the movie was supposed to be a morality play. The movie was supposed to be about Gordon becoming a better man because like he was this stuck up asshole lawyer, and like it was like supposed to be like the kids made him a better man and made him a better leader and everything. So that's why the first movie kind of focused more on Gordon than the kids. But here the kids are front and center, and like it kind of makes it a better movie that the kids are front and center, and it makes it a more palatable movie for kids. Like this one, because the first Mighty Ducks movie is pretty fucking serious. Like I remember reviewing that movie like a year or so ago, like 2 years or a year ago, and I remember saying, damn, I'm like, this movie pretty fucking heavy. I was like, I remember saying, like, I'm like, this movie's pretty heavy. But this one's a little bit more lighthearted. Like, I think they realized they're like, oh, we need to wrangle in kids, so let's focus on the kids more. Then we focus on Gordon. So like, I think that kind of makes it a better movie and it makes it more palatable for kids. We also meet Gordon's new love interest. I mean, the kid's tutor, you know, Ms. McKay. She's forgettable. Like, she doesn't even really matter. She's just your run-of-the-mill 90s white woman, you know, like just dry and blah. She just doesn't matter. But the Ducks go to LA to compete in the Junior Goodwill Games, where they are just like blowing out all these teams. Just blowing these teams off. Like, just pause. Just blowing these teams out the water. I keep saying blowing. But yeah, Kenan Thompson shows up. He shows up at the games to like antagonize Jesse. Jesse is the black kid on the team. He antagonizes him for some reason. Like, more on that later. Some of these teams are pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the teams that they play are pretty funny. Like, they play a team from Trinidad, like, which confused the fuck out of me. I was like, now, where in Trinidad will they ever find a place cold enough to play hockey? Like, tell me, where are they gonna do this shit? Like, I guess, like, Jamaica had a bobsled team, so Trinidad could have a hockey team, I guess, you know, but what the fuck? I don't know. But then we meet the evil team of the movie. There's always an evil team. We meet Team Iceland. And we know they're evil because they wear all black and they're all blonde. They look like Nazis. You know, like they look like the superior race. So that's how we know that they're evil. I don't know if they knew this while they were writing this movie, but Greenland is the country with the ice, and Iceland is the country with the grass. So I think they kind of explained that in the movie. I think they threw that in. I was like, they were kind of like, because I was like, I think they had them fight. I think they had them play Team Iceland because they thought that Iceland was the country with the ice, you know, like, and they had to fix that. But like, Gordon is, you know, Gordon Bombay. Gordon Bombay is just such a pussy magnet because he starts falling for the trainer of the Iceland team. You know, and they start dating for a little bit. The coach of the Iceland team he's just straight up a Bond villain. Like, he wears all black. He has a slick back ponytail. He speaks in a menacing tone. Like, I was like, this dude, like, you know, he's never like, hey, how you doing, guy? How you doing? You know, like, he's just, everything he says, he speaks like this. You know, like, the only thing that's missing is, like, the word bad guy tattooed across his forehead. He was like, it just have, I'm evil across his forehead. You know, so that's the only thing that's missing from this guy. Gordon's loyalty is questioned when, like, two of the kids, it's what's the two kids? I forgot Dean and what's my man name? He's from the first one, Fulton. Dean and Fulton. They catch him on a date with the Iceland trainer. So, like, they kind of question his loyalty to the team. So the Ducks finally face off against Team Iceland and they get their asses whooped. Like, they get whooped. Cause, like, you know the story of a sports movie. You know the premise of sports movies. Like, it wouldn't be a movie if the team didn't face adversity. So, like, they gotta fight this team. This team's gotta whoop their ass so they could come back and beat them. The team is so evil. Like, one of the players, like, they break Banks's arm. Like, Banks is the blonde kid. Like, because like he was the only one that scored. Because Banks is like the best player on the team. You know, it's Banks and it's Fulton. Banks and Fulton are like out of the originals. Banks and Fulton are the best players on the damn team. But Banks, he scores a goal, and like one of the Iceland kids come over and breaks his goddamn arm with his hockey stick. I was like, wow, you really putting on the evil. Like you guys are really goddamn evil, you know. But yeah, that happens, and then like Gordon starts becoming like an asshole to the kids because he doesn't want to lose his sponsorship. The guy that runs Team USA is talking about if they lose, like he's gonna lose his sponsorship, and like he's not gonna get paid because like Gordon's getting paid a lot of money to coach this team. He's getting paid a lot of money. He's getting paid a lot in endorsement deals and sponsorship, and the owner of the team is just pretty much telling him, he was like, if you lose, you're gonna lose all of that. So Gordon just starts just becoming like a tyrant to the kids, like having them like do 2 a days and just running these kids ragged, you know. So like it's just another morality play for Gordon, you know. Like that's what most of these movies are. That's what at least like 2/3 of the Mighty Ducks movies are. But we'll talk about D3 later when we get to it. So Kenan Thompson shows up and challenges the team to street hockey, which now that I think about it, like I used to love this scene as a kid, but now that I think about it, I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Cause like nobody plays hockey in the hood. There's no hood hockey. It's just really far fetched, you know. Cause I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, kids in the hood don't play hockey. What the fuck? But so like the hood kids make the Ducks better hockey players, like cause they toughen them up. They make them a little bit more street smart, you know. Like it's like, you know, the black kids got to make the white kids a little bit more street smart. You know, all this bullshit. But Gordon finds his way again, and he becomes a better person again, and he apologizes to the Ducks for being an asshole. And then the Ducks beat Iceland. You know, they find themselves, and they're just like, they got this whole like segment where like all the Ducks are saying their names and where they're from. And they're just like, hey, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm from Miami, Florida. And I'm from Texas. And, you know, all this shit. And, you know, and so, like, they find their confidence again, and they get back in the Mighty Duck uniforms. They're like, get out, because they wear Team USA uniforms, but towards the end, they're just like, hey, let's get back in the Mighty Duck uniforms, because that's who we really are. We the Mighty Ducks. So they get in the Duck uniforms. They beat the Iceland team, and everybody lives happily ever after. In the end, there's really not much to this movie. there really isn't. There really isn't much to this movie. The first movie was kind of like that too. It was a bit heavy. Like this one's a bit more lighthearted than the first one, because the first one's kind of, you look at the first one is kind of dark, you know, like there's some dark shit going on in the first Mighty Ducks movie, but this one's a little bit more lighthearted. Like I said, it focuses more on the kids than Gordon, but it's a real simple movie. It's a real simple movie, but it's still a fun movie. I enjoy the banter between the kids. Emilio Estevez is serviceable in his role as Gordon Bombay. Like I said, the kids have a lot of charisma. They have enough charisma to keep your attention. Like I said, I love the banter back and forth, and I love the chemistry between the kids when they're together. Even like Emilio Estevez has chemistry with the kids when he's around them. You know, like it's a lot of that. There's a lot of like far-fetched sports stuff that happens in the movie. You know, it's not a bad movie. I recommend it. If you haven't seen D2 The Mighty Ducks, if you're a younger person and you haven't seen it, if you're an older person and you haven't seen it, I recommend it. I give it a 4 out of 5. Join me next week. Is next week February? I think we're going into February. The next movie will be a surprise, everybody, because I think I'm going into Black History Month, so it's going to be a lot of black movies. So follow me if you want to know. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Instagram is I watched this as an adult 85. Twitter, I watched pod is my Twitter. I will put up the clue for the next movie on my social media. So I'm gonna keep it a secret. Until next time, peace.